My name's Gary Specht. I'm the Assistant Customer Service Manager for OPW Retail Fueling, located in Hamilton, Ohio. I've been with the company 16 years. I came to OPW via an acquisition of the Eko product line by OPW from a company called Performance Manufacturing. Performance Manufacturing was a small family-run manufacturing outfit that I spent 16 years with prior to coming to OPW. And they had two predominant product lines. One was the Eko tire inflator division. The other one was a division called Mulsbury, which was a line of steam cleaners, industrial grade steam cleaners, steam generators, rather large. So in 2001, OPW acquired the Eko product line. I was part of that acquisition. They wanted me as part of that product buy, and that's how I ended up at OPW. The Eko product line has a long history from what I can remember looking and seeing old literature dating back to the 1900s. And there were a number of companies involved. Service Station Maintenance had the product at one time very early on. John Wood's company had the product for a while. If you look at a lot of the old machines on the labels, the serial tags, you'll see Service Station Maintenance or John Wood's company. Somewhere along the line, Bennett Pump in Muskegon, Michigan had the product line in the 60s. The product line was acquired by them by Mintex International, which was a company I started with back in 1986. Mintex International had the product line somewhere in the 70s, mid-70s, up until the acquisition of OPW. There was another change in name in that time frame to Performance Manufacturing with a different ownership. But the interesting thing with Mintex International is the owner, Russ Undland, was actually a salesman for OPW. And there's a picture of him in the plant that shows the 1961 salesman's meeting, and Russ Undland's in that picture. So there's a little tie there. The name Mintex came about from Russ and his wife. I don't know who was from what location, but one was from Minnesota, one was from Texas, and that's how they came up with the name Mintex. The Eko tire inflation division has had a lot of model machines over time, and if you even watch any of the old nostalgic movies that are placed in the 50s or the 60s, if you pay attention and you look close in service station scenes, just like you're liable to see an OPW nozzle, vintage old nozzle, you're liable to see an old Eko tire inflator. There are very many recognizable models, what they called an Islander. It had probably the most recognizable Eko Air unit out there, which was called the 90 series. It had an automatic inflation mechanism, so most people could identify them. It had a crank handle on the side that you would turn to adjust the pressure on the machine to which you wanted your tire inflated to. It had a bell that rang while it was inflating. When it reached the target pressure, the bell would stop ringing. You would know your tire was at the proper inflation. These units came in varieties. The Islander was most noted for having a big pedestal that the air machine sat on top of. In the pedestal were retractable reels. These were early versions that were unique in the fact that when you pulled the hose out and the hose went back in, unlike today's reels, they didn't roll up on themselves. It was actually a drum, and there was a mechanism that positioned the hose on the drum so that it never ran up or overlapped on itself. Very reliable setup. Moving forward, from the 90 series, there's still a market today of collectors looking for those types of units to restore. Not necessarily function, but for looks. They will restore them, sell them. If you go out on the internet and look, you're going to see all kinds of people that are selling or looking for different parts for these machines. They evolved through Mintex International to Performance Manufacturing. In that time frame, it was very common for air machines. Most manufacturers were making air machines that were either remote operated, meaning worked off an existing compressor in the station, to self-contained units, had an onboard compressor. These would be available in free or coring-op versions, and they could be combination units, meaning air and water, air only, air and vacuum. There were vacuum cleaners as well. up to a model that we actually have in our parking lot today, and most people see when they come in, the gray tire inflator out there. That was called the Rhino Air Machine. That was the latest and greatest, the last version of an Eko unit that was really manufactured. It featured a polypropylene housing design that was meant to prevent rust, dents, scratches. It was a unit that was designed with mobile oil in mind, to use this as a unit for their national account. They were very interested in the unit when it was designed, and it came in a number of configurations. There was your standard unit that you could get with a hose hanging on the side, with retractable reels, with air, without a compressor or remote, with water. And there was a very high-end model called the Airtronic. It featured the same housing design, but it also incorporated an electronic head that you would actually set digitally. I went 32 psi, and the unit would actually gauge and check your tire and make the determination, do I need to put air in? Do I need to deflate the tire down to the target pressure? It had a lot of logic built into it. The particular model in the parking lot is the Rhino. I think it was a CFA, stood for compressor, meaning onboard compressor. It was an air machine free, F for free air, and it had A meaning air reel. And that's what that unit is out there. So that's called the Rhino CFA, and that had the latest housing design. And if you look at it, it's been out there for, I don't know, a decade or more. And if you look at it, you're not going to see any cracks. You're not going to see any dents like you would in a traditional metal housing. They either rusted, they got dented, scratched, and that's what this unit was designed for. Eko Air Products came to OPW in 2001. I officially started with the company March 1st of 2001, and the product line remained with OPW through 2010. In 2010, December would have been the last time any units were either built or any parts were, ordered, shipped, and invoiced. After 2010, the product line was sold off to a company in Indiana who took over the product line, and I think their primary purpose was they wanted access to the vacuum units, housings, and they also wanted the 90 series tire inflator business, which is the niche market I talked about earlier, where people collect these air machines. This was a company that was already in the market, heavily involved with selling coin-operated air and vacuum machines, primarily in the car wash industry. And they were the ones that had the interest, bought the product line, and not sure what's happening with it today, but that's where my involvement with it ended. Yeah, when the product line was sold to the company, obviously there was a chance I could have gone with the product. This company didn't request that I go. Fortunately for me, I had the opportunity to remain at OPW and continue what I was doing, which is in customer service, taking care of customers, whatever issues come up, tech support, which is what I love to do. It's a great company to work for, and the people here are probably the biggest reason why I come to OPW. There's so many great people, so many great friendships, personal friendships at this point, or business relationships. And so I've been fortunate to be able to come over to OPW and continue doing what I like to do, and I'm still with OPW 16 years later. Yeah, as far as companies go, Eko Air Products, when OPW made the acquisition, was literally right around the corner from the current plant right now in Hamilton, Ohio. And I'm talking a couple tenths of a mile. You literally go up the street to the red light, make a right, you go down the hill, and that's where Interocean Drive is. That's where Eko Air Products was at the time OPW acquired the product line under Performance Manufacturing. Prior to that, you'd go 200 feet farther down the road to the red light, make a right onto Lassane Drive. You'd go, 1,000 feet down the road on the left-hand side was the building that was built in 1986, where Mintex International moved the company after I had first started with them. It was a brand new building built, for them, and that's where the Eko Air Products product line was being manufactured prior to that. So both locations are literally within a minute of the current location right now.